My mini Aussie girl installed a mini split on a camper van in a way no one else has ever done before, directly to the door rather than on something coming from the receiver hitch below. So this allows opening both doors easily without unlatching anything first. And one of the biggest tricks is I installed reinforcement steel bars across the inside of the door with lock washers. You'll need to use either lock washers or lock nuts, or maybe both. So in this case, I did drill 4 holes, and I have the air handler mounted up there, which is simpler because it's lighter weight and doesn't have so much of a so many requirements. Now there are a lot of tricks to this install. This is not as easy as it looks, but I will disclose all of my secrets for free. So when I slam the door, it wobbles a little bit. That's undesired, but it's not a real bad wobble, because this moves a little bit, and that's because it's not mounted on the bottom. If I mount it, I may mount it on the bottom in the future, but it has to go through this plastic and then through the metal there. I probably should, but in the meantime I have some rubber bushings here. I screwed these into the plastic, and also rubber bushings down here that I already painted. I'll show you the paint that I do recommend. Is going to be Krylon Fusion all-in-one paint and primer. Try to avoid anything made by Rust-Oleum, but Krylon Fusion, that's really good. I didn't even have to shake it. I just sprayed it and it worked. In previous videos I've explained why I'm installing a mini split. So this is more like a mid-stage pre-install, or it's actually pretty advanced, because this right here alone is the trickiest thing of all. So I used stainless steel bolts and stainless steel washers for anything on the outside. As far as anti-theft, if somebody tries to steal this, they would get electrocuted, possibly, because they would have to cut the electrical wire and the refrigerant lines they'd have to cut, because unless they take the covers off and manually undo everything. On this side, don't use a pressure washer here, or in the back, don't use a pressure washer, because those fins will bend real easy. For the Ford Transit, it's almost as if it's perfectly designed for this, because of the way this bevel is. It's fairly straight there, but where it does curve, I have a lot of rubber washers in there, spacers, bushings, whatever you want to call them, on both sides. You see in there lots of rubber, and that helps dampen, fill in the space, prevent crushing the metal when tightening the bolts, and also makes it more weather resistant. And I probably should still put something in there, maybe push in some Dicor, what's that called, butyl tape. Right here, this must be the thermometer for the unit. In here is going to be power going to, in my case, probably directly to the inverter, because I will be powering from the Tesla module most of the time. So it's not going to go to a breaker, which is recommended for code and all that. And my refrigerant lines, I have flexible ones on order, so that's going to be a little tricky of an install to get those going to the air handler, because when, as you see, the swing is quite dramatic. Imagine the lines being there and how much they need to flex. Maybe not that bad, because as you can look at this one here, watch that. That's going to be similar to what's going to happen. It's not too much. Now, Transits and Sprinters, I don't know about ProMaster. These doors can swing all the way out, but in this case, that's not going to happen on this side anymore. Because that's what this magnet here is for, to touch this. So that's not happening anymore. So I want to emphasize, if you do this yourself, if you don't use these reinforcement bars like I did, like this, so it's also on that side there, on the other side of that speaker, you could be in for some ripping apart of your door, because this skin is usually not that incredibly strong. So this helps tremendously right there. I've already used touch-up paint. This is biscuit color appliance paint to paint these screws that were bare metal, and that's to make it look better and prevent rust. You see I did it here too. This mini split bracket, this part here was really long. It stuck out way out here, and I cut it off and painted the edge of it so it won't rust. These are the rubber cushions, bushings that came with the inverter, not from the bracket. And the reason I used those instead of the ones that came with the inverter is because the ones that come with the bracket are designed for a house at best. These will not work on a vehicle for very long. They do break, and you will lose your compressor on the road, or somebody could yank it off really easy. One of these did break. It's this made in China piece of crap right here that broke. This top part broke off because these, what looks like a threaded bolt going through all the way through the middle, is actually not. This piece here is simply held in by a little bit of rubber right there. And so imagine the compressor sitting like that. This could break off easy. Very, very bad, terrible product. This space back here is approximately 10 inches. The manufacturer recommends 12 inches. Ignorant Trump redneck. Okay, so needs to be 1 foot according to the manufacturer, but this looks like plenty of air for breathing out that end. I think they may be referring to maybe the higher BTU units. This is only 9,000, so they just do across the board 1 foot for everything. When, in my opinion, if it were something like 24,000 BTU, the space would need to be a whole foot, but for 9,000, this should be just fine. And then I'll leave these out here in case I back up and hit something. I won't hit the inverter. I would hit this instead. Well, it depends on what I hit. If I hit something up here, that is, doesn't have this low then yep, well, you know what I mean. Look what she's doing, trying to catch lizards by pulling plants apart. Well, I know there's a lizard in there somewhere. So I'm pretty pleased with it. It actually wasn't as dramatic as I was thinking it would be. What I was worried about is having to tear all this area up here up. I couldn't tell by other people's videos how this was going to work, because they never disclosed what it looks like from behind. So here the air goes through this way and out the back, and for some reason seems like a secret or something. Nobody wants you to see this back part of it, and how this, you know, some really good photo and video of how it's mounted. It's like people keep it a really big secret or something, and I'm like, F them. I'm going to show everybody how it's actually mounted so they can do it too if they want to. Down here I have some idea for the future to install rollers on here, so that when I open and close the door, it'll roll onto the bumper and provide more support. A lot of the weight will be on the bumper instead of on the door. That way, with some rollers, for example, if I get a longer bolt here that has a roller on it, that would be really cool. So I have to shop for that kind of a part. Or alternatively, I could have tiny rollers mounted on the bumper, so that when open and close, this will rest on that and take a lot of stress off the door. But that wouldn't help when the door is actually open, take stress off. But that's not of any concern, because in that case you're not driving and hitting bumps and stuff. So some people have used straps, come across and attach up here somewhere to hold this in place better. I may be looking into that. I probably am not going to be looking, I don't know. Let's see. I guess it would be nice maybe to have a strap behind here, but then with straps around it, it'd be hard to put a cover over it. So I plan on getting a bungee, not an elastic cover to put over this when not in use, to protect it from the elements. So the air handler, I went ahead and pre-wired it, and one of the wires over there hanging is for a security camera that's not completely installed yet, and the other one on the lower left is for the actual air handler. So there's a steel plate that you screw in, and then the air handler just fits right over the top of that steel plate pretty easily. The instructions don't actually explain how that works, but it has a, I don't know what you call it, a flange or something sticking up out of the metal, and the plastic air handler just goes right over the top of the metal flange. So this kind of, this is an extremely serious build now. I've redone the plumbing and electrical almost completely, and I'm happy with that air handler location. The manufacturer recommends 80 inches on the bottom, but that's just kind of excessive of a recommendation. I don't see anything wrong with the air blowing on the bed. The next alternative location I was going to, I know he's handsome, isn't he? I was going to put the air handler, take out the microwave and all that stuff and put it there. If that didn't work, that would be a lot uglier and quite dramatic if I did that, and it would extend the line through the closet, which is undesirable. Fortunately for me, this model of air handler has the lines going that way towards the rear by default, so I don't have to bend them. They just go straight out to the left. That's awesome. So this is very highly desirable, to be able to open both doors. If you have cargo and accessing things, that's wonderful. That was worth all the extra effort to try to find flexible lines which are not for sale anywhere hardly. In my previous video I showed where you can get them, but they're really hard to find. I'm still not sure how that's really going to work. I'm not even, if you know where I should drill the hole, it needs to be a pretty good 2 to 3 inch hole. So far I plan on having it come up through here and go up through the side of the bed like that, and possibly coil it over here somewhere, I'm not sure, and the flexible part would come out from underneath. And another alternative, what some people do, is drill the hole right through the door and have the line come through that way, but that would seem like that would be in the way. I don't have this decorative panel on so you can see how this was done. Contrary to what other people have said, there are no mechanisms that are in the way of doing this work. No door latch mechanisms were in the way of this whole thing. This could have been mounted up higher, or even possibly up there, maybe. Well, I doubt it. Not with that window. That window is huge. What I would have normally done is put a window unit in there like I did the Sprinter, which I actually prefer that instead, except that doesn't allow for heating. So yeah, this electrical system is under rebuild right now. So the diesel heater, which I hate worrying about the fuel and all that stuff. This one has a diesel heater and this one has a heat pump, so I don't have to install another heater in this situation. Of course I'd rather not have this thing sticking out the back like that, but that's better than a generator. At least this is quiet and doesn't pollute. Don't run off, you stay here with me. I got a big mess to clean up. I just wanted to get it done, and I didn't prioritize being organized. One thing I had to pay close attention to was how to mount this so that this door doesn't hit here. And some things I learned is these brackets on the bottom kind of give quite a bit. At least this model moves back and forth and gives you flexibility. And I like to mount it as far that way as possible, so this is out of the way. Usually I would only open this door. It wouldn't be that often I'd open both doors to access anything, and so my legs won't hit this. It's better it goes that way. And another reason is closer to the hinges the better, that this is mounted closer to the hinges that way. And especially true since most of the weight is on the right side here. It's very right side heavy. I would really like to have it closer to the van. In fact, I'd really like it right up on here, but it has to have a lot of air coming through the back. She's still hunting lizards.